Hi, everyone. Shaheen from VeraContent here with a special episode of the podcast. You've probably seen some of your favorite YouTubers and social media personalities using a tool that makes it look pretty convincingly like they're speaking another language. The tool they're most likely using is the AI video translation tool from HeyGen, which came out in August and has been rapidly expanding into more languages. And since at VeraContent, our expertise is in adapting content for diverse international markets, we decided to analyze the output of this tool, which works in 13 languages so far. We've analyzed the results in 4 of those languages: Spanish, German, Mandarin, and English. And I have 3 expert linguists from our team here to share their insights about this. We've got Irene Zamora, who's going to review the Spanish. We have Lara Luig, who's going to review German. And then we have Tom from China, who's going to review the Mandarin. And as a native English speaker and CEO of VeraContent, I'll also be sharing my thoughts on the English output. So let's go right into the topic. I'd like to ask each of you just what were your first thoughts when you saw the results from this tool? And we can start with Lara.
I was really surprised because I never had experience with translating something with the lip sync as well. I only use AI tools, for example, as ChatGPT, as the most people know probably, where I was already surprised that ChatGPT can help you out very much, especially for like marketing context. But I was really, really surprised about the lip sync and everything, which HeyGen was able to do.
Yeah, absolutely. This is like a new functionality. I think that's really like the, what do you call it? Like the thing that's like a breakthrough with this technology, because there are other dubbing tools that I was discovering, but not that actually move your mouth to match the speech. So Tom, what were your thoughts when you first saw this?
Yeah, for me also, when I saw that, also I feel stunning. So it's really awesome because like I try different kinds of AI too. Like I use AI to translate. I use AI to create writings or pictures. Even I tried to use AI to generate coding. But like for this video thing, like it's really amazing because it's like it not only can get it translated into the local language, but also it can dub into the local language. Because when I watch a video, for me it seems the foreigner, she knows my language, she knows Chinese, and she can speak it, so it looks real.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to get more into like our analysis of like how well it actually worked in each language. But before we do that, let's get Irene's first impressions.
Yeah, well, I was knowing about this kind of AI tools for videos just last week. I was discussing this topic with my boyfriend because he's into video filmmaking and so on. So he was showing me like, look what technology can do at the moment. And we were watching videos of, as you mentioned, famous people like actually speaking whatever language every few sentences. So it was like, wow. And I was surprised about how well the lip movement, the lip sync was, because we have heard like AI tools, like these kind of robotic voices that dub TikTok videos or so, but this was actually quite natural. Although we know these people don't speak, and I cannot judge for other languages that are not Spanish, right? But it was like surprisingly good. So when we suggested like, let's dive into it, let's analyze a person that I know speaking in other languages and what happens. Now I know how you speak. I know what's your normal voice. So it was like going more into a deeper analysis, like how really well is this happening? What is the status at the moment of the developing of the tool?
Yeah, so obviously my perspective, like it was when I saw this, I was like, "Whoa, this is." I mean, as I said in the video, as the director of a marketing localization agency, it's like, should I be worried about this? Is this going to take away work from us? But I also see it as something really exciting and something that's an opportunity to learn how to use these tools and how to do even more and better work. So I was really like, obviously caught my attention. The technology is so like you said, is so realistic. So it's like other things that I'd seen didn't like, I guess, speak to me as much. But when you see some with the voice clone, so it actually sounds like the person, the mouth is moving, so it really looks like they're speaking the language. It really got my attention. It was like, okay, this is something we need to look into further and see, like, okay, the technology is here now. How can we maybe apply this or do something with this? So, well, I wanted to give some context about like the test that we did, because basically we decided to do this about a week ago. And what we did was basically I recorded a 1-minute video of myself reading a script in English and in Spanish. We did it in 2 languages. And then we, from those 2 which are the only 2 languages I speak, so we were limited to that. We did our own localization of the text for obviously from English to Spanish. So when I did it in Spanish, we wanted to try to like test the AI on how well it translated idioms, and how well it could maybe adapt to the different like tone and variation in my voice. So I tried to use a lot of expression, go up and down in the way I was speaking. Use expressions that it would be unlikely maybe that a machine translation could catch. And then, and so basically we recorded this, and we the tool was really easy to use. It's basically, there's a beta version of it right now. It's just a simple upload, and then you wait a few minutes for processing, and you download the video. And there is like a free version that you can use, but you have to wait a really long time to download, and there's a limit on how much you can do. So we went ahead and got the paid version for this test, which is 59 euros a month. And then we created a survey for each of the linguists involved in this. And so each of you filled out a survey. But maybe, Lara, you could share a little bit about what your approach was in doing this test.
Yeah, sure. So at first I watched the German AI generated video without headphones to see if I can recognize any arrows, or if I feel any weird vibe, or if I can actually recognize that it is AI generated. Then I went for my headphones to even listen a bit deeper to the voice and actually the words, the pronouncing and everything. And then I went to do the same thing with the English version you did, to compare if I see any differences. I haven't heard your voice before, so I needed to hear your voice and the AI generated voice as well, so I could compare it, and that was pretty much how I did it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so well, did either of you take like a different approach, I guess, or kind of similar process, Irene or Tom?
I started with the original video first,
Mm-hmm.
then for the translation. Then I was watching like the 2 side by side, clip by clip, like now I hear this part and I hear this part. And then I had a last one with the script you provided in English in front of me while I was watching the AI generated video. Mm-hmm. So I could compare more in detail the translation or the choice of words that mm-hmm. was used in the video.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think for me, I use a similar approach. I didn't use like special technique to analyze it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. I mean, that was kind of the idea, was just kind of your first impressions of how the results were. And then we had some, we all used the same kind of rating system where we rated on a few different things. So we're going to go into those now. But I guess, I mean, overall, Tom, maybe you can share just like, what did you think that the AI did well, and what could have been better?
Yeah, I think like the AI did well is the translation. I think mm-hmm. especially like the word by word translation is pretty clear and mm-hmm. it's correct. So I think mm-hmm. for the areas the AI need to get improved for the translation aspect is localization or contextualize. Because like when I watch a video, like when I listen, it sounds like machine translation. So it doesn't sound that natural. So I think like one part it kind of improved is localization. And another one is like for emotions. Because like I cannot get the same emotions when I watch the original video. because when I watch the original English video, like I can feel the excitement. But like for Chinese video, I cannot sense that feeling. And also, I think another challenge part maybe is especially for our language, for Chinese, because for Chinese we have tones. Because for English you don't have tones, but like for Chinese we have 4 tones. So like if you give a wrong pronunciation, it can mean different things. So I think the tones might be a challenge for AI.
Did it actually do anything that made me say the wrong thing in Chinese? Like, were there any incorrect tones that kind of changed the meaning?
Yes. I think for some parts, because of the tone is incorrect, so I couldn't understand that part. So I don't know what you were trying to say.
Yeah. I see. Okay. And it wasn't possible to like figure it out based on the context.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
were you able to kind of guess? Yeah.
Yes, I can guess. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's go to Irene to go a little bit deeper on the translation aspect. Like, how accurate was the translation from English into Spanish, and how well did it translate expressions?
Yeah. Well, I would say that overall, if the message was transmitted, I mean, so I could say that in Spanish, what you were saying in English was very basically said in Spanish, but we were using, as Tom mentioned, emotions or inflections in the voice. It was more monotone, everything. Then expressions, especially when you were being more colloquial, because this was the recording was like you were speaking directly to the viewer. It was like a one-on-one conversation, so the tone was colloquial, and I think at that point the tool wasn't accurate at all. So in terms of accuracy, as this will be like a transcreation sort of thing, because we are expressing emotions, because we are in a colloquial tone speaking, I think transcreation wasn't there. But that being said, also there were a lot of omissions. I noticed that the AI tool in Spanish was omitting adverbs, like words that the tool wasn't considering essential to the message. So it was like making a summary of what you were saying. So the summary is accurate, but this is not exactly what you said, and all the little nuances that you add with the choice of adjectives or adverbs were lost. Most of them were lost. So you could understand the message, but you could clearly see this is not a person, because nobody speaks like that. The choice of expressions in Spanish was weird, and nobody says that actually. It's not a real expression that people use in Spanish. Although I must say, the output in Spanish has a Latin American accent, and I am a Castilian speaker. But it was strange, and I think I can say positively that not even in the international Latin American variant that is used in the news, they use those kind of expressions speaking naturally in a conversation.
It's interesting, the point about omissions, because I noticed that as well. And I think, I'm not sure if this is the reason, but it seems like some of those sentences would have been very long in Spanish and maybe wouldn't have fit in the time period of the video. Like, basically, when you export the video, it has to be exactly the same length as the original, so they can't. And I was actually comparing this tool with another dubbing tool called Rask, and in that tool, it actually, in the Spanish version, it like sped up my speaking a lot. Like, it actually was a better translation, I thought, but it made me say it like very fast. So to, I guess, fit in all the words that were needed in Spanish to say the same thing in English. So that's definitely a challenge with localization.
But I can be, it's true that in general, translation from English into Spanish, we get more text because English is more synthetic in the way of expressing things. So that can be a challenge too. Or you speed up the person speaking, or you omit things. And I must say that the tool was choosing the right words to omit, because the essential message was there
Mhm.
anyways.
Mhm.
So it was omitting those words that they were considered not essential
Yeah.
for the message.
That's super interesting. So, well, Lara, would you like to comment more on the translation into German and kind of how the quality there, and did it omit things? Did it make mistakes? Yeah.
Yeah. Overall, it was pretty much okay. Like the translation was very good. The feeling of the video was also pretty good, I would say. I just recognized, which kind of destroyed the whole. I would give 100% if the beginning and the end would be different, because if you translate, like you started the original video with "listen up," and this was translated word by word in German, and you would never say this, everyone would recognize, okay, this is not German, it doesn't make sense at all. And if you don't know what you want to say, or if you don't know the English version of the video, you probably wouldn't even get what the person wants to say, but because it doesn't make sense at all. So the beginning was kind of weird because it was translated word by word. Then everything was very good. I was very shocked that it is as good. And then kind of like the end was rude, actually, because it was translated right, but the pronunciation of tschüss, which is bye in German, was very rude. So you watched the whole video, you were like, okay, that's very nice. The person in the video is very friendly. And then it ended in a so rude way that you would be like, okay, thank you. Sorry, what did I do wrong? Kind of, you would feel affected of it. So that's pretty much what I can say about the German part. The translation all over was good, but the beginning and the end should be definitely optimized.
Yeah, that was something strange, actually, that I think both in German and in Spanish, and you'll have to tell me, Tom, if it was the same in Chinese, but it added this bye at the end, what I didn't say. Like, I ended the video saying, let us know in the comments. But for some reason, it said bye in Spanish and German. And how did it end the video in Chinese, Tom?
In Chinese, it's good. Like, it's good. It's complete.
Okay, it just said leave your comments.
Leave the comment. Yes.
Yeah, interesting. So different results.
It's also rude, as Lara said, because suddenly you said adios, like very flat, like I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm tired of this. Bye.
Yeah, it was like if you
hung
up with your phone.
Like out of tone,
Yeah. So not only were there omissions, there was also like additions for no reason. Yeah. So, yeah, and well, just speaking, I guess, in general about the feeling and like the kind of tone of the whole thing, like I was saying, I was trying to be very expressive in the video, and it didn't seem like it got that at all. Like it was a very monotone, and it also made my face look serious because the lip movements was like kind of one expression on the face, so it was very I looked bored the whole time. Right. So, but speaking of that, I mean, how realistic did you guys think that the lip movements were in each of your languages? Maybe starting with Tom, how was it for you?
I think it's perfect. It looks really well. I mean, it's great. I mean, it's perfect. I didn't sense any mismatch.
Okay, interesting. So that seems to be what this tool is really good at. Would you say the same, Lara and Irene, with the lip movements were accurate in your language?
In German, it was also pretty good. I just recognized that when you touched your lips, someone in the middle, and then your fingers were blurred. So I was like, okay, that should be something which needs to be optimized as well. Because if you see that the fingers will be blurred if you touch somewhere here, you will recognize that it's not a person speaking there, that it is somehow edited. That was the only point which I can say here.
Yeah,
it's the same as Lara. If you wouldn't cover your mouth, I wouldn't. Without the sound, I would say that it's you actually speaking. And I must say that the lip movement was matching the Latin American accent that you were speaking in that video. So I could see differences because I have had time to compare with the Spanish video you recorded. So I could see also the differences in you speaking Spanish, how you move your mouth, and the Latin American accent. So that was really on point.
Yeah, I should say also in the English version, it actually had like two different options for like the type of English. You could choose the English accent. It had an American accent, or you could choose your accent, which is a complete mystery to me how they determine your accent, because I'm in that video, the source language was Spanish. So how do they possibly know what my accent is in English, right? But I tried it both ways, and I mean, overall, the quality sounds similar to what you guys described in the other languages, but I think the accent was curious because well, first of all, I thought the one that was supposedly American didn't sound American to me at all. I'm American, I have an American accent, and it made me sound totally different. And it actually sounded like really Australian in a few parts. I don't know if that had to do with like just the way the AI pronounced the vowels. And then I felt like your own accent sounded more like a non-native English, like and it almost sounded, or maybe like Indian English in some points with the way it was pronouncing. So it was interesting, these two versions, and also they had some slight differences in the translation. But another step that I did in my analysis was that I put the script through Google Translate, and I compared the Google Translate to what the AI did, and I would say overall it was about the same, but a little bit worse than Google Translate. In some places, like Google Translate actually did better with some of the expressions. But curiously, that beginning part, I think that listen up, this is wild part was difficult to translate, obviously, but like one of the English ones did try to transcribe it. It said like, how powerful. Well, okay, no, sorry, because that was from Spanish to English. So in the Spanish one, I say que fuerte, and it both Google Translate and one of them changed it to how strong, but one of them translated it to how powerful, which is a little better, although not exactly what that means. It actually means like how crazy or how impactful, right? But yeah, so interesting, similar but different results across the languages. I mean, maybe we can just go and give like a final summary, or anything else we wanted to know about like how well the tool actually worked, and we can start with Tom on that.
Yeah, I think like generally speaking, I think it works pretty well, because just now like we talked about it, like for the lip movements, it worked pretty well. So I think like but also definitely there are some rooms it can get improved. Just now we mentioned like how could like the AI express like the real feelings behind it. And also like I mentioned, like for Chinese, because we have different tones, so how could we make the AI pronounce the right tone? And also I think just now also like we mentioned about the omission part, so how could we avoid that problem? So I think from my opinion, I think like my opinion, I think it's pretty like it's good, and it's pretty like positive. So I think we can use it definitely to improve our work.
Do you think maybe if we had, because obviously when I was making this video, I was purposefully trying to trip up the AI, but if I had maybe recorded a video that was very clear and easy to translate, maybe in the first place, like using really common terminology, do you think that it would have done a better job and maybe come up with a result that would have been easier to understand?
Yeah, I think so. It will be better.
Yeah. Okay, well, we'll go to Lara. What are your overall thoughts on the output?
Yeah, I agree here as well. I think it is possible to use it. I would be very curious to see someone watching the video who doesn't know that it is an AI to do the rating and everything after, because it would be interesting if they recognize actually, because of course we were watching the video very in detail. We knew that it is an AI, so it's harder to say, or a different way of watching the video. You know what I mean? What I would say, what I said earlier, is very important that it doesn't end rude, because I would say we can use the video, but if we would now send it to a client or something like that, or would use it, for example, for the website, we really needed to cut out the end, because the people will be very offended, especially Germans, because Germans are like this. And if they will watch a video which ends rude, they won't be happy about it. And then they wouldn't like you, for example, but it is not your fault at all. But they don't know that it is AI translated. So that would be something which I would say would be very helpful. And also maybe start with an easier common sentence like, hey, and not like like wild. We use the word actually in German, like Gen Z people are saying wild, the German version of it, but you probably would use it also differently than the AI used it in the video.
Okay. Yeah, that was especially, I mean, it's true that even in English, that's not the most common way that you would say that. Like you probably say how crazy, this is crazy or something like that. But yeah, Irene, your thoughts on the output in Spanish?
If you want to use this kind of video for a fast-paced environment, like social media posting, like quite fast and so on, it can work because, as you said, it's a tool that is pretty easy to use and quite fast to do it. However, we need to take into account what you are transmitting in the video. So I would say that it would work better, as you suggested, if the video was like using short sentences, something more neutral or even formal, like corporate style. That will work better than trying to use this tool for a video that is more colloquial, that is expressing emotions, that has a lot of differences in the intonation, variation in the tone. That, because I think it's where the AI tool gets quite lost in this case.
Yeah, exactly. So just like if you want to get a straightforward message across and just a simple, straightforward translation of it that looks like you saying it, this tool can do that. So which kind of goes to the next question about like, what do you think, what applications could there be for this? Like, where do you see potential for using it? And also, maybe you guys could share at this point a little bit more about what each of you do, like what kinds of translations you usually work on or what kinds of content projects. And do you see potential for this in the kind of work that you do? We can start with Irene here.
Well, so with videos, I usually work or as far as I have done, I have worked more in subtitling, but it's a work of transcreating subtitles, so you can maintain the style and the tone of the speaker. I have done that in more formal videos, like from universities presenting the study plan of a program, and something like a little more informal, more like conversational. I would say that this could be used, but for example, in my case, I would only recommend to use this to Latin American market, because if you publish this and your target market is Spanish from Spain, people are going to be quite shocked watching the video, and suddenly you are like some kind of weird Mexican person. So this is always something that you don't relate as much when someone is speaking to you with a weird accent that is not your own. You always connect more if you feel like the video is really addressing you and created for you. So for a Latin American audience, it could be good. I will have to speak with Latin American colleagues to be 100%, but my recommendation would be, okay, you can use this kind of tool, but only from Latin American market, not for Spain, because as far as I have seen, they don't have this option for Castilian
I mean,
Spanish
I
to
imagine
use.
it's something that they will eventually do or try to do, but definitely there's something left to be desired on the different, like they do have the two variations of English. And like I said, the American English doesn't sound American. So I'm sure that's something they're like actively working on and going to make it better. But
Yeah, I would like to test
yeah.
that here in
Yeah.
American. And I would say that this could be used as it was mentioned before, I think, if it was an option to edit the
Hmm.
output, to give your thoughts, because they are choosing to omit words, to shorten sentences, and so. And if you could have there the input of a human translator, transcriber doing that, I think the output would be much better. So if definitely if the tool or the AI tools add this feature, I think it could be used much more in the actual translation work.
And
Yeah.
that's something I'd like to do more investigation into other tools, because I actually, as we said, we did this kind of quickly from last week to this week. So we were only really looking at HeyGen. But in the meantime, I did also have a quick look at some other tools. And one that stood out to me is one that's called Rask.ai, which actually says that they're either about to or have already also added this lip movement thing. But so HeyGen is actually a tool that was doing avatars and voiceovers, but like, and then they've just kind of expanded into this language thing. But the Rask one actually started out as a dubbing tool, so I feel like they're a little bit more advanced on the technology for the actual cloning the voice and the dubbing. So like, but and they have, well, I tested it with the video, but the test that I did, it didn't do the lip thing, so it just did a dubbing. But I actually liked the results more because you could still see my expression in the way that I'm talking, but you're only hearing the voice in the other language. And I think there's probably, I could see more applications for that in some of the kinds of videos that we typically do like subtitles for. Like most of our clients are only asking us for subtitles, so we're just adding subtitles and it stays in the original language. But I could see if it was very easy to dub it, I see a lot of applications for that, because I think it's like more honest to like leave the video without the lips moving actually. And you see like the real person talking, even though the lip moving thing is really cool. It just, there's like this uncanny valley thing about it. It just seems weird and fake. So I don't know if it's like necessarily something you'd always want to use. There could be some cool, I'm curious to see what you guys think could be the application. Maybe Lara, if you have any ideas.
Yeah. So I basically help international brands with their marketing in the German market through organic social media. I actually see the value here as well, because especially for personal branding reasons, it would be nice, because there are a lot of like influencers doing German and English accounts, because they can reach so many more people and then build a community all around the world, because it's more personal if they are speaking the same language as their community is. And a lot of like big influencers were like, for example, English, American or Russian. I saw that they were starting to adapt their original content, which for example was English, to Russian, and then localize it to Italian as well. But it is very hard, I think, to produce all the content, because you need to find a person who has a similar voice as you have, or a person you like the voice and pronunciation. Then they have to do the translation and then speak for you in the video, but then still the lip sync isn't given. So I think that would be actually something, could be a breakthrough in social media if you want to localize your social media accounts, which can be for a brand as well, because if you're doing like an US account and then different European accounts, you always have someone who's doing the content in the local language. And that could be something where the AI tool really can help out.
Absolutely. Yeah, Tom, do you have any thoughts on how you think this technology could be used?
Yeah, because like I'm thinking about my case, because I'm also like translating videos, because I'm thinking about one of my customers. So like normally he sent me the English videos. So I got so I translated the scripts into Chinese, and then I put subtitle like on the video, and afterwards he will give this video and scripts to another Chinese person. So the Chinese person, like he should do the dubbing. So it's a little bit complicated. So I'm just thinking like if I mention this AI tool to him, it can save lots of work. Because it's not perfect, but in the middle, maybe I can do some fine tunes to make some adjustments to make it better. But definitely, I think like it will improve the the speed of the work.
Absolutely. Actually, like a couple other things that I learned in my whole research on this topic. One is that actually YouTube has announced that like they're incorporating this kind of technology like in their platform because they have some startup that they bought that does this, and they're going to integrate it into YouTube. So, and actually something I've seen a lot on YouTube is people have the different channels in different languages, but on the other channel language, maybe on their main channel they have like 1,000 videos, and on the other language channel they only have 10, because like Lara was explaining, it takes a lot of resources and time to like dub it into those languages and to make it match and upload it. So obviously that if that whole process can be done semi-automatically at least, then it's gonna like open up the possibility to have access to this content in different languages a lot more. And then I don't know if I mentioned before, but I wanted to say one more thing I wanted to say about the this Rask tool is that you can edit it. So like, and I think that's really cool. Like the interface was really well done, and like you can, it actually gives you the transcript like side by side with like, here's your original thing that you said, and it like has the auto transcript, and then you have next to it the translation, and you can actually change the translation so that the output is what you want. You say like redub, and it like does it over again. So it looks like that technology is coming, and it is going to be editable. And I think Tom said something that's kind of in line with thoughts that I've had on this, because obviously it is like concerning. Like, I think that the first reaction oftentimes is like fear, like, oh, is this going to take away the work of translators or interpreters? But I think if we think back to like when machine translation came out, and there was a lot of fear around that as well. But in my opinion, I don't think that it's actually taken work away. It's actually created, but it's changed. It's like completely transformed and changed the way that we do translation now.
Yeah.
And every translation tool has obviously machine translation built in, and it's a tool that every translator uses now. But I personally think that it has made the work more fun, because we get to work on the creative problems that only humans can solve, and not on the tedious work of just changing one word into the other. So, but I don't know, what do you guys think about kind of the future of our industry of translation and interpretation? And I don't know, do you think it's going to change for the better or for the worse? What do you think, Irene?
Oh, every change brings something good and something that maybe we don't appreciate so much. So probably this is going to stay, and it's going to develop even further. So you can resist change. You can only criticize and be against it and so on, or you can see, okay, this has come to stay. So how can I integrate this into my work, and how can I adapt what I do to work with these new technologies, machines, etc. So this is basically what I'm doing at the moment. These all new tools are entering the market, and I think they are going to be present more and more. I have been AI applications in so many different things. I have seen AI tools to create your weekly menu plan to cook and do the shopping. So it's like crazy. Like, you want a list of books, and you go to ChatGPT and say, okay, give me books on this topic that I can read, blah blah blah, and you get that. So this has come to stay, like, and it's going to be more and more in our daily life, so also in our professional life. So I would think, how can I recycle, how can I adapt, how can I work with the machine, with the AI, not resisting or so, because it doesn't make sense. Like, in the end, it's going to stay there. And as you mentioned, machine translation in the beginning was like a huge wow, everybody against it, and now most of us work with that. and on a daily basis. So what do? You work more on the transcription side of the equation. So basically with the AI tool, it's going to be the same. I don't see that this is going to work autonomously 100%, like without any human check at any point, at least anytime soon. So you can work on that. Like, okay, what can I add to the AI work as a professional linguist?
Yeah, and I think another parallel with machine translation is like obviously when machine translation was introduced, it led to like more translation, like proliferation of things being translated that had never been translated in the past because people didn't have the resources to do it. So that created more work for editing those translations, and I'm sure something similar could happen here, where there's going to be need to like revise and check the results of these AI tools. Tom, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, like for me, I think I like it because I like high technology. So if any kind of high technology we can use to improve the quality of our work, I would like to use it. And also, I think like I don't think this AI will take the place of our position, because I think like because AI is not perfect, it still needs to get improved. And also there are certain areas like for as translator, we need to jump in and we need to like check the quality, and we need to fine tune it and make it acceptable and make it better. So for my own opinion, like I like it and I want to use it more often if it's possible.
And Lara, what do you think the future holds?
Yeah, I can pretty much just agree. In my opinion, I mean, like I sometimes use AIs to help me find content ideas or to optimize a content strategy or something like that. But you can't count on AI 100%. For example, if I translate something with Google Translator from English into German, you can't use it. You have to adjust it as a human. And it's the same if you, for example, write a copy with ChatGPT. You can't use the copy 100% like ChatGPT is giving it to you. You will have to adjust it because it's, for example, also if it includes hashtags or something, they are probably not the hashtags who are at the moment viral on Instagram, and then it's not necessary to use them. You will have to do an extra hashtag research, which ChatGPT isn't 100% doing for you. As I said, same with Google Translator. You can't translate with Google Translator 100% copy paste and then upload it somewhere. The people will recognize that it's Google Translator 100%. So I think it is nice to have something like this for getting ideas, brainstorming, to help you out sometimes. But for now, it is definitely a must that a human is doing a check afterwards and will adjust it in the perfect way.
Yeah, that's a good point. That extends to all the AI tools, not only the dubbing tools. So we're like, it's about time to wrap up the conversation, but I wanted to give you each like the final chance to any final thoughts that you have on this overall conversation, anything you wanted to share. And we can go, well, just reversing the order, back to Lara if you have any final takeaways. Yeah.
I think the final takeaway for me is actually that I would love to try out the dubbing tool you used for this conversation, because I think it is different if you're watching yourself in the dub AI version. It would be interesting because I think you can even more analyze the video because you know yourself better, you know your pronunciation better, your lip sync, and the feeling you're transmitting to the people. So I think that would be a takeaway from now on for me, to maybe check it out and do it and see how the results are if I'm doing the video.
Absolutely. Tom?
Yeah, I think for me, that's the same. I think I would also like to test different kinds of dubbing tools. Because just now I mentioned like one of my customers, like he constantly send me the video to get it translated. So like, I mean, if I have a good recommendation, maybe I can mention to him or other potential customers.
Definitely. And actually, I wanted to mention we have been using like AI tools for transcription for quite a while now at VeraContent. So this is kind of could be a next step from there. Which have like greatly, I mean, we did transcription before those tools existed, and it was always a very tedious job. And so it's something that's really like made the job a lot easier, and it's improved, I think, the quality of our transcriptions, of course, always checked by a human. Anyway, I'll leave the final word to Irene. Yeah, final takeaways.
I would definitely check the other tool you were mentioning, Rex, because I want to see how can it be when a human can intervene before the final result. So I think that combination will be, I don't know if perfect, but it will be the optimal for now. Combining what you can do automatically, combining what you can do with the lip sync, the dubbing, and the human touch to adapt the message.
Yeah, and it'll be really interesting to see like the additional functionality that all these tools come up with, because when I was trying to research it, it was like there's so many startups doing different related things, so it's actually really difficult to test all of them. But I'm sure we're going to see the results of the winners, I guess, that are going to end up being incorporated into tools that we use every day, like YouTube or social media platforms and other things, I'm sure, or video software and so forth. So it'll be really exciting to see that. Well, thank you all so much for taking part in this conversation. I really appreciate your feedback, and I'm sure people find this really valuable. I think it was a unique chance to hear firsthand perspective on people who really know about language and about working in these different languages. So thank you all.
Thank you.
So I wanted to let everybody know that if you want to see all the videos that we translated using this HeyGen video translation tool, you can check out our blog post that is going live. That's on veracontent.com/mix. We've embedded all the videos there in all 13 languages. And we've also have put our like full written analysis. And if you'd like to get in touch with us with feedback or topic ideas for the podcast in the future, feel free to reach out at mix@veracontent.com. So thanks everybody again, and see you soon.